welcome to the Trade Game channel. This is Daniel. It's February the 7th, and we are going to be talking about trading cryptocurrency today. Specifically, we're going to be talking about trading SXP, Solar. We started a bot on this one recently, going long, 10 times leverage. And so we're going to be watching this guy to see what he does. We set our grid down to this level around 16.5 cents, which is about the lowest the price has gotten for SXP. And we've started our bot going long up to, and it'll be trading up to 27 cents. So what we were seeing with SXP is that it was trading in a wedge. It looks like we were marking this out on lower time frame. And broke down and is now challenging its support right around 17, 18, 19 cents. So we've got a bot trading this long right now. This is the weekly chart. Back to the daily, looking right here. We had a nice bullish candle here with the green. This price was in a downwards impulse after breaking down out of the wedge. Whole market was going down at that point. Broke down and then came back and found support, came back up and actually printed a green candle before, of course, coming back down afterwards. So we're going to hope, for the sake of our bot here, that we're going to be finding support above the area it got down to right about this area during this big downwards impulse. The green areas that I have marked out here are areas of historic support for the coin. And the orange line now was our trigger price line, but now it's our liquidation value for the bot, which hopefully will move down as the bot continues to trade with 10 times leverage within this area. And yeah, I think this red line may have been sort of an area where I'd suggested we might stop out of the bot. So kind of that's kind of where we're at with SXP. SXP is approaching its level of support. And it appears to me that it may be showing bullish signs. So this is actually a good thing for our long bot, because it did set a low recently, but it's a higher low than back in August. And so as we were approaching kind of these price areas where these currencies were at when Bitcoin was at its lowest point last year for the year, it's very likely that they're going to find a lot of support in this area, and so I'm hoping that the price can range up and down around in this general area without going down too far. We'll be able to trade it with the bot. That being said, oh wait, I think I had put the information for what settings we're using on the bot there. And I think that I had suggested that if you wanted to, trigger 22. Okay, so maybe the trigger is what I had set mine at. And I think maybe in the last video I might have suggested that you could set a trigger at around like 18, 19 cents or something if you wanted to start a long bot and we're looking for a good trigger price. But at this point, it's a bit of a moot point, as we've already started this bot. So what we are going to do, however, is I am going to trade this coin in both directions. One of the things that you can do when you're doing this sort of activity, and that I may suggest you do, is open bots in opposite directions. And so what I'm proposing we do is take an amount of money. Doesn't have to be a large amount of money. If we're expecting the price of this to do well over a longer period of time, it would make more sense to kind of put more money into a long bot than a short bot. But for the time being, Bitcoin looking very bearish. And this having had a downwards impulse recently, it may continue down and set a lower low than its historic low. We're not really sure what it's going to do. So, what I'm going to propose is that we start a short bot and we put a trigger price somewhere in, say, the trade value gap from here to here. And let's say put it maybe right about there, 25.88 cents. For a short bot, we've broken down out of this channel here, and we may come back into it soon. But let's consider if the price value does move downwards, what we're going to do then. And so for the time being, since we have these bots and we can open these squishier positions than they would be in normal isolated positions, let's go ahead and hedge and also put perhaps a smaller amount of money or some amount of money onto a short bot going in the opposite direction. And remember, we can always close out the short bot if we feel like the coin is showing support. But we're going to suggest that the price may go up to this level and then continue down and challenge this this low again. That being the case, we're going to open a bot with kind of the same settings, or how about we do something a little bit more like a well, we could do a bot with the same settings, or we could do something that's with an identical grid setting, or you could do something a little bit more like a short bot, probably times 10 as well. And let's go, let's go ahead and continue. Let's go from, say, our the fair trade value. The fair value goes to about 26.71. So let's do like 71. No, well, I'm going to put this in. Down to, let's go down to this recent low of 1775. And so let's use these parameters. And I don't know how many grid lines we're going to do yet. Actually, let's go ahead and figure that out. Let's do it right now. We're going to go short, and we're going to go on SXP. And we are going from 0.115 to 0.2671. And if we do this with 50 grids, that's not going to be adequate. How about, yeah, let's say 40. I was going to do 40 grids. This is a bit of a narrower range, so we don't need as many grid lines to divide this up. Although, actually, let's just keep it 50 grid lines. It'll be a little bit less profit per grid line, but we also may not keep this bot open as long. So let's just bump it up to 50, and it'll trade a little bit more frequently, but that's not really a big deal when it comes to this sort of thing. So let's do 50 grid lines. 10 times leverage, I think we said. Yeah, 10 times leverage. And that gives us a 0.63 to 0.97% profit per grid line. Trigger being at 0.2588. So we're going to do this, and this will allow us to have both these bots going and trading both short and long on this currency at the same time. So we'll be generating revenue whether it goes up or down, and we can watch these bots, and then we can sort of close whichever one we think is not going to perform as well. This allows us to hedge our position, and you can perhaps use not quite as much money on the short bot as on the long bot, since we are ultimately going to be bullish on SXP. We are ultimately hoping that it'll go up. But it may go down in the short term, and there's no reason to not trade it. And there's no reason also to not contingency plan and have something going that will benefit if things don't go the way you were thinking they were going to go, if that makes any sense. So this is what I propose to do for our next project. It's relatively easy because we've already done the TA for this coin. We're just going to be betting against ourselves, essentially. Or betting is not the right word. We're going to be taking a position opposite of the position that we had primarily discussed before. You don't have to do any of this stuff. This is all just for fun, remember? And so, yeah, this is the Trade Game channel. I'm Daniel. It's February the 7th, and we've been talking about Solar SXP, trading it on the grid. I do think that we're at a pretty cheap price for Solar right now, honestly, really. It's getting down to support lines, and I don't know how long we're going to hold this short bot, if we even really keep it on going for very long at all. But since we're watching the coin anyway, I think we really should go ahead and hedge. And yeah, so we've just had a strong impulse to the downside with Solar. It may pop back up and get back into this channel. We'll have to kind of see what happens, but it hasn't really had enough of a chance yet, I don't think, after this impulse to really form a really tremendously good pattern. Of course, you can always kind of find, like, there's usually joke around and say, like, it seems like there's always a wedge if you go to a certain time scale. And that's usually the case after a big impulse, right? So in this case, that also you could speculatively say on the hour is kind of happening here. Price action's trying to figure out where it wants to go after that big impulse move, but it has not really picked a direction yet. It's an impulse move downwards, and it may continue that downwards direction, but it also may rebound back up and go back into its this area where it was trading before. I don't know. My suspicion would be that it may come up at least to sort of revisit this kind of general area and fill in some of these inefficiencies here. And so this may break to the upside soon, but we'll have to kind of see. And just because it breaks to the upside doesn't mean that it won't continue its bearish pattern. But at least doing it this way, if this coin turns out to be a dud and just kind of goes down to zero, we will have been shorting it all the way down to zero. And, that's not bad for us. So let's also go and, me, I like to look at my little things. As I do point out, see, these indicators are not actually going to show you anything that isn't already on the screen. I'm just kind of giving you. So, Longbot is not in a terrible position. Looks like we may be getting ready to do a pump on the daily. And also, oh, wait, never mind. I can just go right here. Yep. And also, we're looking like we're pretty far down on our Heikinashi bottoms here. So this would not be a bad time, really, to enter along on Solar, on the daily chart at least, which isn't really that surprising. That's kind of why we're starting to look at it like that there. But on the weekly, it is worth, it's always worth looking at the higher time frame to notice that we're not really through to the end of this oscillation pattern. We kind of only got one bar on our Heikinashi on the weekly. So the short bot may outperform the long bot, at least for a little while, if we do get one going here. This is all presuming that it actually does, the price does retrace up and hit my trigger price here. But value gaps being what they are, the market does tend to complete itself fairly often. Actually, I'm going to, how about we just make this an even 26? What would an even 26 look like, actually? Oh, gosh, no. Too high. About 25.5. Well, okay. 25.7. 25.8. Yeah. That's probably going to be right on the money. Yeah. All right. So actually, looking at this a little bit closer, I don't necessarily want it to have to hit that level. So let's make our trigger. I'm going to alter this a little bit. Oh, look, it's rather close to where it was the first time I looked at it. We're just going to simplify that to 258. And then we'll see how that goes. So, because on the weekly, it does look like we may have bearish movement for a little bit, and there's no reason to, at least off the top of my head, to not trade that. And also, it's just generally not the worst idea in the world to hedge your positions. So that's what I propose that we do, using another bot, and we just sort of close out whichever one we think is not going to perform as well. All right, so this is the Trade Game channel. This is Daniel. Thank you so much for watching. We've been talking about trading the cryptocurrency Solar. It's February 7th. God be with you. Please be good to one another, and I will talk to you later.